We have felt that nervous energy before, standing on the edge of a decision that could redefine our defensive front for a generation. As a Saints insider, I have seen the front office weigh these high-stakes gambles many times over the years. This was not just a simple roster move, it was a fundamental choice between two very different paths for the black and gold. Before we dive into why the front office pivoted, join our community by subscribing and hitting that bell for all our exclusive Saints updates today. Tyree Wilson is the name every fan needs to remember today because he represents the bold direction our team decided to take. While many of us were keeping a close eye on the draft board, a secret negotiation was happening behind the scenes that could have changed everything. We now know that Mickey Loomis and the coaching staff were deeply involved in talks with the New York Giants regarding a potential trade for Kayvon Thibodeau. This news sent shockwaves through the building because Kayvon Thibodeau was a massive name, a former 5th overall pick who came out of Oregon with a huge reputation as a game changer. However, the Saints ultimately decided to pass on that opportunity and instead orchestrated a deal with the Las Vegas Raiders to bring in another high-profile edge rusher. This move for the former 7th overall pick from the 2023 draft signals a massive shift in how we are building our pass rush. We also have to acknowledge that the team chose this path over drafting Ruben Bain on Thursday night, showing a clear preference for established professional talent over fresh collegiate prospects. The situation with the Giants star was complicated, primarily due to a string of unfortunate injuries that have kept him off the field. He missed nearly the entire second half of last season with a severe shoulder injury and had previously struggled with a wrist issue and an MCL sprain during his rookie campaign. Over the last 2 seasons alone, he has been sidelined for 12 games, which likely gave our front office pause during the negotiations. Even though he has recorded 23 sacks in 53 career games, the risk of his physical durability was clearly a factor in the decision. By shifting our focus, the Saints have landed a young, powerful athlete who they believe fits the culture of New Orleans better than any other option available. This trade with the Raiders wasn't just a backup plan. It was a strategic choice to secure a player who can anchor the defensive line without the same cloud of medical uncertainty hanging over his head. We are now looking at a defensive unit that has been completely transformed into a much more reliable and dangerous group for the upcoming season. The decision to bring in a powerhouse like this young defensive end speaks volumes about the current philosophy inside the locker room. When you look at his physical profile, he is exactly the kind of prototypical athlete that our coaching staff has historically coveted. He possesses the immense length and raw strength necessary to hold the edge in the NFC South, where physical play is a requirement for survival. Instead of gambling on a player with a history of recurring shoulder and wrist problems, the front office chose to invest in a prospect who was a top 10 pick just a year ago. This tells us that the team is looking for stability and high-end potential that can be molded within our specific system. Think about the impact he can have when he is lined up alongside our veteran leaders. He won't be expected to carry the entire burden of the defense alone, which is a perfect environment for a young player to find his rhythm. The what-if scenario regarding the Giants trade is fascinating because it shows how close we came to a different reality. If we had moved forward with that deal, we would have been tied to a massive contract and the constant fear of another injury. Instead, we have a player who is still on his rookie deal, providing us with much-needed financial flexibility as we manage the salary cap in the coming seasons. The coaching staff believes his play style is more conducive to the heavy-handed, aggressive front we want to deploy. He has the ability to collapse the pocket and disrupt the timing of opposing quarterbacks, something we desperately lacked at times last season. We have seen this story before where a change of scenery unlocks a player's true potential, and the atmosphere in New Orleans is known for revitalizing careers. Our fans understand that the Superdome thrives on energy, and a big physical presence on the defensive line is the quickest way to get the crowd on their feet. This move is about more than just one season. It is about building a foundation for a defense that can dominate for years. We are very eager to see how he adapts to our locker room, and if he can truly become the anchor of our line now. This move is fundamentally about one thing: winning more games right now. When our defense cannot get to the quarterback, it puts an enormous amount of pressure on the secondary and makes it nearly impossible to protect a lead in the fourth quarter. By adding a physical specimen who can win his one-on-one battles, we are making life easier for every other person on that field. It means our safeties can play with more confidence and our linebackers can focus on stopping the run without worrying about a clean pocket. If this new addition performs the way the scouts expect, it could be the difference between a playoff berth and another season of watching from home. We have all seen how frustrating it is when the opposing team has all day to throw the ball, and this trade is a direct response to that weakness. The consequences of failing to address the pass rush would have been disastrous for our season hopes. By choosing a player who is healthy and ready to contribute, we are reducing the risk of a mid-season collapse due to depth issues. This decision also sends a message to the veterans in the locker room that the front office is serious about competing today. It provides a boost of morale that spreads through the entire building because everyone knows that a strong defense is the heartbeat of this franchise. We aren't just looking for a rotation player, we are looking for a difference maker who can change the outcome of a divisional game against the Falcons or the Buccaneers. The simple reality is that games are won in the trenches, and the Saints have just become much stronger in that area. If he can provide even a handful of consistent sacks and double-digit pressures, it changes the math for every offensive coordinator we face. This trade helps ensure that our defensive identity remains one of toughness and relentless pursuit. We are avoiding the danger of relying on a player who might be in the training room more than the huddle. For a team that wants to win the South and make a deep run, these are the types of calculated moves that will define our legacy and determine how far we can truly go this postseason year. We are standing at a crossroads where two very different futures could unfold for our defense. In the best-case scenario, this young athlete finds his footing immediately in New Orleans and becomes the dominant force we know he can be. He could develop into a double-digit sack artist who terrifies quarterbacks and forces turnovers that our offense can turn into easy points. In this reality, the decision to pass on the trade with the Giants will be seen as a stroke of genius by Mickey Loomis. We would have a cornerstone player who stays healthy and leads our defensive line for the next decade. The energy in the Superdome would be electric every time he lines up on third down, and the Saints would once again have one of the most feared units in the entire NFL. However, we must also consider the tension of the worst-case scenario. If he struggles to adapt to our system or fails to live up to his high draft pedigree, the fans will inevitably look back at the trade we didn't make. If the player the Giants were offering goes on to stay healthy and becomes a superstar elsewhere, the questions will be relentless. It would mean we spent valuable assets on a player who couldn't move the needle, leaving us once again searching for answers on the edge. This is the tightrope that every professional team must walk when they make a move of this magnitude. The pressure on the coaching staff to get this right is immense because the fans in New Orleans have high expectations and very little patience for mediocrity. Every snap will be scrutinized, and every missed tackle will be compared to what might have been. This tension is what makes being a fan of the black and gold so intense and rewarding. We care deeply about the success of this team because it is a part of who we are. We are all waiting with bated breath to see which path this story takes. The stakes couldn't be higher for the future of this roster, and the next few months will reveal if we made the right gamble or a costly mistake that will ultimately impact the very legacy of this entire coaching staff for many future seasons. The New Orleans Saints have made a definitive choice by prioritizing the health and potential of a former top 10 pick over the risky, injury-prone star from New York. It is a move that balances the need for immediate impact with the long-term stability of the roster. We've seen many players come through these doors, but few arrive with this much pressure to perform right away. The front office has put their chips on the table, betting that a fresh start in the Big Easy is exactly what this young pass rusher needs to thrive. But I want to hear from you, the heart and soul of the Who Dat Nation. Be honest with me. Do you think passing on the trade for a big name like Kayvon Thibodeau was the right call? Or are you worried we missed out on a once-in-a-generation talent? Your voice is what makes this community special, so drop a comment below and let's talk about it. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to stay ahead of every major Saints move, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications. We will see you in the next one.